Hi, my name is Holly Presley, and I'm a graduate research assistant at the University of Georgia's Institute for Plant Breeding, Genetics, and Genomics. And in this video, I will be going over how to make alfalfa cuttings. You may be wondering why people make alfalfa cuttings at all. Alfalfa is an important forage legume crop with a complex genome and mode of reproduction. In simple terms, no two alfalfa seeds are the same, which is a problem for plant breeders who need reliable data evaluating each plant or genotype to make selections and to ultimately release new improved alfalfa varieties. One way around this problem is to make cuttings, which are genetically identical clones of the original plant. Alfalfa cuttings can be a bit tricky to establish, but by the end of this video, you will be ready to successfully clone your own alfalfa. The first thing you need to make cuttings is a container to hold them. You can really use anything, but in this video I am using what we call containers, which allow mini cuttings to be made in a small amount of space and are great for a deep-rooting plant like alfalfa. Similarly, you can use any soil mix you like to fill your containers. I've had particular success filling the cones almost all the way with a long-term storage soil mix, what we call 3B, and filling only the top inch or so with a finer germination mix. This will help the first alfalfa roots develop and facilitate taproot growth as the cutting develops. A nice sharp pair of scissors is critical to making cuttings, as are easy-to-read labels. The whole reason to do cuttings is to be able to evaluate a particular plant in more than one location or environment, so ensuring that you have a clear label is critical to the success of the endeavor. Cuttings dry out easily, so having water on hand is very helpful to the process. The maturity of your alfalfa is very important to determining when you're going to best make cuttings. You don't want your plant to be too mature, like this plant actively producing seeds, or too young. This plant has just been cut and doesn't have a lot of fresh growth yet to make cuttings from. A healthy green plant at a medium maturity is the best plant to do cuttings with. You're going to find a healthy stem with nice green leaves, and then you're going to look at the nodes, which is where the leaves start on the plant. And you're going to want to try and have 4 nodes per cuttings. 3, 4. Then underneath that 4th one, you're going to leave about a 1/2 inch and cut it at a very sharp angle, at least 45 degrees or better. And then you're going to carefully remove the leaves using your scissors and leaving just a little bit of tissue left on the stem, which is where new growth both above ground and below ground will begin. At the top, you want to leave just one medium-sized trifoliate. If it's a large trifoliate, you can cut off leaves, and if it's a small trifoliate, you can leave more than one if you need to. Once you have your cutting, you're going to want to plant 2 nodes below ground and leave 2 nodes above the ground if possible, but depending on your morphology of your plant in particular, it may vary. Use your scissors to plant a hole, plant it into the ground, secure the cutting, and water it in. After a few weeks, your cuttings will be developed. Be sure to keep the cuttings from drying out by watering regularly and avoiding direct sunlight and excessive heat. If you began in a small or shallow container, you may need to move the cuttings into a larger pot to further develop the root system before planting in the field. One last important note, even after following all these tips and tricks, it is not likely all your cuttings will survive, so make a few extra to account for that. I'd like to thank everyone in the Moussaoui Lab for their constant support, the Institute of Plant Breeding, Genetics, and Genomics for their funding and training, and to you for watching. Happy cloning!